Hi boys and girls, how are you? So I'm back. We're going to be talking about this month's character trait, which is empathy. And I know some of you may remember what that means if you were in first or second grade, but for my kindergartners, it's all new. So we're going to learn what empathy means. I want you to think about all the feelings that you feel, like happiness, sadness, anger, right? We all have those feelings at different times, and it's okay to feel that way. And we want to think about how we feel, but we also want to think about how others are feeling. So to think about how others are feeling, sometimes we may ask them, or we might look at their face. Like if I'm smiling, that usually means I'm happy. If I'm crying, that means I'm sad. If you kind of look scrunched up face, maybe that's anger. Right? Everybody feels different things and shows it differently. When we think about how others are feeling, we call that empathy. You may have heard of the expression to put yourself in someone else's shoes, right? Does that mean to actually put their shoes on? No. All right, it means to think about how the other person is feeling, to put yourself in their shoes and think about what they're going through. So I actually sent out an activity for you to do with your family where you're going to put yourself in someone else's shoes and think about how that person is feeling with different scenarios. We're also going to discuss empathy through our story today and thinking about how the characters in this story feel, putting ourselves in their shoes. So this is called The Invisible Boy, and it's by Trudy Ludwig, and it's illustrated by Patrice Barton. Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Miss Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Miss Carletti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first. Then the best friends of the best players. Then the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. We've got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. Poor Brian. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swing over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so was the water slide, adds Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. I'm so glad you guys had fun, says Madison. Everybody did, except Brian. He wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table, doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings, space aliens locked in intergalactic battles, greedy pirates digging for treasure, and superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. On Monday morning, Miss Carletti introduces Justin, a new student, to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. What's that? Asks Madison as she points at Justin's food. It's bulgogi. What? Bulgogi. It's Korean barbecued beef. My grandma made it for me. It's really good. Do you want to try some? There's no way I would eat bulgogi. And the kids laugh. All of them, that is, except Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day, when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. Justin, I thought the bulgogi looked good. From Brian. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing away. You're Brian, right? Yeah. Thanks for the note. Hey, Justin, Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Back in class, Miss Carletti asked the kids to team up in twos or threes for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads towards Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. Miss Carletti said we can have up to 3 people in our group. We're only 2. Come on, Emilio, let him work with us. Okay, I guess. Miss Carletti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in the photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think would live in a house like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. So they made a nice story, and he drew the pictures. They worked together. It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. Brian, he hears someone shout, "Hey Brian, over here!" Brian turns around and sees Justin waving at him. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes his room for him at the table. Cookie? Thanks. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. The end. So boys and girls, I want you to think about how this story shows empathy. Think about how you would feel if you were Brian, if you were invisible, and how you would feel if you were Justin and a new student. Put yourself in their shoes. Think about how Brian actually showed empathy and put himself in Justin's shoes, and how Justin put himself in Brian's shoes and thought about what he would feel like being left out from his friends. Right? How would you feel if you felt invisible? Have you ever felt invisible? How do you make others feel good and feel included? Right? Think about how this story showed empathy, and I want you to discuss it with your family and your siblings, and I'll see you all soon.